Hello, everyone. Hello, virtuous living. Hello, virtuous women of God. Hello, YouTube. Hello, Facebook. Hello, everybody. Happy Valentine's Day. You are watching Topics and Tea. I am Natanya, and we are today going to talk about don't to not be that woman, T.H.A.T. As you can see, you guys know I love my acronyms. So as I said, you're watching Topics and Tea. It is a show where we take a topic every single week on how to be a virtuous woman of God. And we have our tea, we talk about it, we discuss it, and we just ask God to help us grow in this journey called life. So come on in, and I know that today is Valentine's Day, so because Valentine's Day, I'll be super quick. Okay, I'm not going to be up here long. And then two, I know that a lot of people are going to watch the replay. Some people I talked to earlier today that usually watch live and all that kind of stuff. So hello, everyone on the replay. Good morning if you're watching in the morning. Good evening if you're watching in the evening. All of that good stuff. So, but those of you who will watch live, let me know who you are so I can greet you and we can have our tea, okay, as we study not to be that woman. So, let me explain, okay? The struggle was real today. I was on the for real struggle bus getting on here today, okay? So you guys know that I love coffee. Anybody who knows me, you know that I absolutely love coffee. So Jessie, my friend Jessie, has been trying to tell me for a while to buy a French press because, I'm still caught in my old school coffee pot. And so it was just kind of in the back of my mind to get. And so I'm just like, okay, yeah, I'll get it. And then my friend Leonard from church saw me Sunday, and he was like, hey, I saw your new video on your channel for your frappe. I'm gonna need you to use a different coffee next time you make your frappe. He was like, it looked good, but I didn't like the coffee you used. And I was like, okay. And so I'm like, okay, why don't I just go ahead and get this French press? Because Leonard's a big coffee drinker too. So I bought one off Amazon. It got delivered today. It was much smaller. I guess I didn't really read what I was buying. The one I thought I was getting in the picture was much bigger, but whatever. So I opened it up and I watched a few videos on how to use a French press, and I'm like, okay, it's easy. I'll do it. And so I made it a few minutes ago because Leonard was like, you gotta make I told him I had for Topics and Tea. I was like, I'll make myself some tea in the French press because I have it for Topics and Tea. He was like, I totally vote for coffee. So I'm like, fine. I've had coffee on Topics and Tea before. Let me just make the coffee. You guys, I Googled, because I'm an eye cook. So I've been eyeing my coffee for years, but I Googled how much coffee to use per cup of water in this French press. And I was using my Cafe Bustelo, which is a stronger espresso coffee anyway. But anyway, I made 1 cup of coffee and I used 3 tablespoons of coffee grounds because the internet told me 2 tablespoons per 1 cup. So because I made 1.5 cups, I made 3 tablespoons of coffee. I let it sit for a minute, just like TikTok told me, and then I pressed it down, and then I made the cup. You guys, it tasted like smut. It tasted like smut. It tastes like cigarette butts, okay? I don't smoke, but I know that's gotta be the way cigarettes taste. It was awful. It was really bitter. My cream wasn't helping. Nothing was helping. So I don't know what I did wrong, but it was, and I love coffee, and I love strong coffee, but that was nasty. So that was struggle number 1. Struggle number 2, okay, I'm like, okay, whatever, I'll just have my tea for Topics and Tea. So I made a pineapple peach tea today. I made it too sweet, okay, so then I had to make it a little less sweet. So hi, Miss Murphy, oh my gosh, I've never seen you on Topics and Tea before. Hello. So then I made my tea a little bit less sweet, and it still is sweet, and I'm just like, what in the world is going on? I was like, why can't I cook today? What is going on? Why am I on the struggle bus? I don't know. So anyway, so instead of having the coffee today, I am drinking tea, and I am drinking out of my mug that says be the change, and that actually has something to do with our topic today, being a change, and it is pineapple and peach tea. It's a little bit sweet. Then you guys know I like sweet, but this is a little bit too sweet, but it's still good. Okay, so it's pineapple peach tea. Let me tell you the benefits of it. Pineapple is good for your nutrients. It's good for disease fighting antioxidants. It's good for your digestion. Hi, Miss Gibbons. Oh my goodness. Givens. I haven't talked to you for a good long time. How are you? Happy Valentine's Day. Oh my goodness. You guys, I'm going to tell you guys about Mr. Givens in a second. So it's good for digestion. It may reduce your risk of cancer. It may boost your immunity and suppress inflammation. It may ease the symptoms of arthritis. It also helps you recover after surgery or extraneous exercise. And then peach is good for nutrients and antioxidants, good for digestion, is good for your heart, is good for your skin tone, is good for certain types of cancers, and is good for reducing allergy symptoms, okay? So despite the fact that I was on the struggle bus, my tea is still healthy, good for our heart, good for my immune system, and all that kind of stuff, because you guys know I like the healthy teas. So the reason I said I wanted to tell you guys about Miss Givens is because she called me beautiful. And I remember when I was a child, so Miss Givens' house used to be, she had a boutique in her house. And I know my mom would take me there all the time. My mom would buy clothes from her. She had a beautiful boutique in her house. And I remember that when I was a little girl, Miss Givens can sing. Now, a lot of people know that, but she has a beautiful voice. And I remember being a kid and hold on. About to drop my laptop because I'm on the struggle bus today. She took my hands and she took my face and she put it in her hands and she sang to me, "You are so beautiful." I never forgot that. I never forgot that. She sang for me a good long time, and that was one of my favorite memories of being in her house. So you never forget those type of things. And that's actually something we're going to talk about today, about how children never forget. So I love you, Miss Givens. Thank you so much for joining Topics in Tea, because I believe this is your first time joining us. So as you can see from the title, we are talking about not being that woman, not being that woman. And what is that? That is an acronym, and it's going to stand for some adjectives that we don't want to be associated with as women of God. We don't want to be as virtuous women. We don't want to be as children of God. We don't want to be as young women, old women, middle age, whatever you are. You just don't want to be associated with these adjective. So that's what that stands for. And actually, I got this title. You guys know I have, I get titles different ways. Got this title because I opened up TikTok the other day. And I guess there's this trend of people saying, "My toxic trait is." And I know that the person who I saw what they were saying, it was funny, and they were just, they didn't mean anything by it. But in my head, I'm like, we should never say something is toxic and then glorify it. That should never be something that we are proud to say. Even though what she was talking about was a positive thing, I was just like, we shouldn't take that. So I was like, we don't want to be that woman. And then boom, we don't want to be that woman. That's how the title came up. So T in that woman that we don't want to be, believe it or not, actually stands for toxic. We do not want to be toxic women. Being toxic is something I think you can be consciously or unconsciously. There's some people, some women are conscious are toxic out of habit. Some women are toxic because they don't realize it's toxic. They just think that's the way to be because that's the way their mother spoke to them. That's the way their grandmother spoke to their mother. That's the way that their great grandmother spoke to their grandmother. Sometimes toxic things are just generational, and it takes a conscious woman to break those things in her family. It takes a conscious woman to break those things in her personality, to break those habits so that she is not passing on or passing down. Thank you, Miss Givens. She is not passing down toxic traits to her children. So let's study how does toxicity, she just told me I speak eloquently. Look, now I'm stuttering. How does this show up in our lives? One way that being toxic shows up in our life is through our speech, So you are, as a woman, I mean, men too, people are big influencers on other people, but women especially, I don't think women realize how much influence you have on people around you, especially your children. Usually children are the, "Hi, oh my gosh, is that my Miss Prophet it is Latasha Watson. Hello, how are you? Thank you for watching Topics of Tea. I know you usually catch the replay, but you live today. You live and thrive. Hello. So we're talking about not being that woman. So that is an adjective, or that is an acronym. And the T in that stands for toxic. So that's what we're talking about right now, not being a toxic woman in our lives. So what I was saying was women are huge influencers, especially on our children, because we're usually the one that spends the most time with our kids. So naturally, our kids pick up our habits. Our kids, pick up certain traits. They pick up things consciously because, you're the mom. You spend a lot of time with them. And we have to make sure that we are planting good seeds, watering good seeds so that our kids are reaping the benefits of good fruits. And like I was saying, one of the ways we can be toxic in our children's lives is the way that we speak to them. Children never forget anything. Believe me when I say they don't forget anything, even after you apologize. That sting, whatever you said to them, when you were angry, that they remember that. And as adults, when they go through something that is traumatizing or something that makes them sad, it gives them flashbacks of, when I was a kid, my mama said this. When I was a kid, my grandma said this. When I was a kid, my mama said I was never going to be able to do this because this was wrong with me, or whatever that is. So we have to be conscious of what we say to them, even when we're angry, because toxic traits a lot of times come out when you're really angry because you're not thinking about it. Your guard is down. You're just letting it out. So we don't want to be that woman. You don't want to be toxic in your speech. But I will also say this, you can be toxic just by, normal conversation. How many times has a kid told you, I want to be an astronaut, I want to be a doctor, I want to be this, and you tell them, you can't do that, you're not good at math, you can't do that, you don't like to study, you can't do that, that's too expensive, we can't afford this, you can't do that, our family, we own businesses, you're going to inherit this business, we don't want you to do anything else, or whatever your excuse is. That's toxic. That shoots down a dream that they have, that plants seeds of lack in their mind, that plants seeds of poverty, or plants seeds of discouragement, whatever it is. That's a toxic trait that we have to make sure that we are not sowing into our children. It's very important that we tell them how beautiful they are. We tell them how smart they are. We tell them how special they are, because when they don't hear it is when they go looking for that information in other places. So yes, are you a toxic mother? You can be a toxic wife. Is your husband always telling you, some ideas that he has or some things that he wants to accomplish, and you are always, shooting him down. You guys don't have enough money, or, we should have did that when we were younger, or I don't want to do this, or you don't want to work alongside of him, so you discourage him from doing that dream. That's toxic. It's showing, again, seeds of discouragement. So we can be toxic in our speech. We can also be toxic in our actions. Are you a woman who's toxic in her actions? Are you manipulative? Manipulation, when you don't get your way, you make everybody feel bad because you didn't get your way. When you didn't get your way, you make everybody suffer. Believe it or not, manipulation is, even in this toxic way that I'm speaking of, that's actually a form of witchcraft. Witchcraft is all about isolating and controlling, taking a situation and turning it into the way that you wanted it to turn out. So when you manipulate someone's feelings, you manipulate a conversation, you manipulate a situation so that it benefits you, not only is that selfish, because that's a toxic trait as well, but it's also a form of witchcraft. So we have to make sure that we are not manipulating people or being manipulative for our own benefits, or trying to control people's feelings and thoughts and situations, because that is a toxic trait. And I want us to say this also while I'm thinking about it. Holding out on your husband, that's another thing that women do. They close their legs because they're upset. That's also a form of manipulation, which is a form of witchcraft, which is a toxic trait. That's toxic to your marriage. So we have to say, Lord, even in the little things, the things that we may think nothing of, even those little things that may come out of your mouth, those little actions, those little subtle actions you may do because you're upset or because you feel some type of way. God, help me not to be that woman that is sowing toxic seeds into my family, no matter if I'm aware that it's a toxic trait or not. And I want to also say this, let's be women that don't make excuses for letting certain bad behaviors happen, right? Just because you're upset, just because someone else did this, just because your children acted this way, does not give us an excuse to come out of character, does not give us an excuse to be toxic to our families just because X, Y, and Z happen. So let's be women that take accountability for our toxic behavior, get healed, get therapy, get delivered, whatever we need to, so that we're careful of what we're sowing into our children. And I also want to say, even if you're toxic for an hour, for a day, for a moment, for a week, however long you're toxic, the prayer is, Lord, at the root of it, uproot it. At the very root of it, uprooted. I don't care if it's a big thing or it's a little thing. We don't want any type of toxic traits in our life as virtuous women. So ask God to uproot it, uproot the trauma. If that's why you're toxic, uproot the habits, uproot the generational curse, uproot whatever it is, so that you're no longer sowing and watering those seeds into your children, family, and or your relationships and or your ministry. Because there's some toxic female leaders as well. So, and let me also put ministry in there. So toxic was T. H for not being that woman is going to stand for hateful. Hateful. We are not going to be hateful women, okay? You ever seen that woman who can just never be happy for anyone, right? That woman who's always got to find some problem with everything. That woman that just, you say, "Oh girl, I just got these new shoes. Look, I got them on sale. They're the new whatever designer. I'm so excited," whatever. And those look like Kmart shoes. They look cheap. Those don't look good. Oh, I had those years ago. Or, she's always shooting down what you're happy about. That's a hateful woman. First of all, before we talk about not being that woman, I also want to say you want to look out for traits of women like that in your life, because that is not a true friend. If someone cannot be happy for you, if someone cannot celebrate with you, if someone's always got to make sure you don't feel as good as you do feel when you tell them some good news, that is not a good friend. So watch out for that, women. But also make sure that is not you, that you're not a hateful woman. You're not low-key jealous. You don't have any type of spite in your heart. So all of these traits come today are all about heart check. So we need to have a heart check and say, Lord, why do I find every time someone tells me something that I need to, to shoot it down, or I need to find a flaw and point out the flaw so that somebody's happiness level comes down a little bit or anything like that? That is toxic. Even though we're talking about being hateful, hateful is actually a toxic trait. So I want us to say also, let's talk about not being women that compare ourselves. Sometimes hateful women are always comparing themselves to other people, hating and upset and jealous that God seems like he's blessing someone more than he's blessing you, or this person's getting their prayer answered and you're not, or this person got what they wanted and God's still telling you to wait, or God's still telling you to whatever. All of those are hateful traits. You have hate in your heart. Another hate in your heart could be not forgiving people. Every time you see someone, you got to bring up what they did. You got to bring up who they were, who they used to be, or you got to bring up why you feel this way about them, or you got to always make them feel some type of way. That's a hateful woman. That's a hateful trait. And that's definitely not a trait we want to be as virtuous women of God. We do not want to be hateful. I also want us to think about today. Today is Valentine's Day. If you are a single woman, or your man couldn't afford to take you out, or you're not married and you thought by this Valentine's Day you would be married, or whatever it is, are you scrolling through Facebook secretly hating on the women posting what they got today, posting where their husbands took them, posting their new boyfriends or their new relationships or engagements or whatever they're posting? If you can't be happy for someone, you've got hate in your heart. Whether you believe it or not, if you can't even press the like button, the heart button. If you can't even tell another woman congratulations, because all you can think about is how you don't have something, or how you think you're wondering how they got it and they're not as good as you, or they're not good enough to have this. You have some type of hate and jealousy in your heart, and that needs to be corrected. And that, hello, Renisha, how are you? And how are you today? You've been on my heart today. I love you. If you're still watching, I see your name down there. So yeah, so that means that you are a hateful woman. So this is all about checking your spirit. All about checking your spirit. Being a virtuous woman is not, yes, it's actions, but it's also a heart check. It's also a heart check. So T, we're not that woman. T stood for we're not going to be a toxic woman. H stands for we're not going to be a hateful woman. And then before I move on to the next letter, let me say this. A hateful woman is a bitter woman, and a bitter woman is a toxic woman. So you see how all these adjectives flow together. A hateful woman is a bitter woman is a toxic woman, and a toxic woman is the opposite of who we study to be every week, which is a virtuous woman. Okay, so in order to not be hateful, we are asking God to restore our joy, restore our happiness, restore our genuine happiness for the people who get blessed before we do, or seem like they got a bigger blessing than we did. And so, and not compare what God has given us or what we have with our fellow sisters and or brothers and what they have. T, toxic. H is hateful. A is artificial. You are not going to be an artificial woman, ladies, okay? And what do I mean by that? Phony, fake, not true, not real, not genuine. Nothing about you is not real. Everything about you is fake. And I'm not talking about the outer, okay? All women, yeah, we do things to our hair. My hair color is fake, okay? My eyelashes are fake. Yeah, I'm not talking about that. I'm not talking about, the things that we may add to it and enhance our beauty or anything like that. I'm talking about the things that we do that is not from a genuine spirit. The things that we do that do not come from a beautiful place in your heart, That can even be something as small as hugging someone. I don't hug people if I don't fake a hug. I do not. I will sit there and look at you. Hi. And I'm not saying that's the best trait, but my hugs are genuine. If I genuinely love you, I will genuinely hug you. So what I'm saying is we have to say, I'm not going to give gifts just because I'm, trying to look a certain way and I really don't feel it from my heart. I'm not going to be artificial in my conversations. Don't sit there and pretend and make someone think that you're interested, or make someone think that you want to talk to them and that you're loving on them and you really don't. Because to me, those type of feelings, that's a form of lying, because you're making someone feel or want someone to see something that's not really there. That's a form of lying. And then to me also, another big one is worship. Okay, are you an artificial worshiper? Meaning, is your worship not from a genuine place? Are you a praise and worship leader and you just doing this to go through the motions? You saying certain things because you know what will get the crowd hype? Are you a preacher that will say certain things because you know what will get you, a bigger response from the audience or pats on the back? That's artificial. The Bible says that man looks on the outside, but God looks at the heart. So I would even go so far to say, when you don't have a true and genuine spirit in your heart, and you're worshiping or you're leading or you're giving a gift, you're having conversation, even I believe God counts that as lying, because it's not sincere, it's not real. The Bible says that man looks on the outside, but God looks at the heart. So as I was saying today, everything that we're talking about today is a heart check. We have to say, God of the, hello, Deja, and hello, Alicia. All right, ladies. Hello. Good evening. Happy Valentine's Day. We're talking about not being that woman, and that stands for, so far we got toxic. We're not toxic women. H, we're not hateful women. And we're talking about A right now. We are not an artificial woman, okay? Everything we do is from a sincere place. So, yes, God sees right through the phoniness. Before the action on the outside is seen, God is looking at the heart. So we need to make sure that every single thing we do is for real and it's genuine. I think, even on social media, sometimes people want to post this artificial life, or want them to be looked at in this certain light, or looked at as this, holy person or wealthy person or happy person or whatever it is. And I'm not telling you to tell your business on social media, because I surely don't believe in that. But I will say this. it's sometimes better just to be quiet and not say anything than it is to post a false perception of yourself, false perception of your relationship, or false perception of who you want to be, because again, that's lying, and God is looking at our heart. God wants everything to be genuine. So sometimes it's better that you just say nothing. Okay, if someone asks your opinion and you don't have something nice to say, you don't want to hurt their feelings, just say nothing. Do not tell the truth. Don't get a strike, in against your name in heaven for lying just because you don't want to hurt someone's feelings. Be a genuine woman. Just be quiet if you can't say anything polite. Okay, so we got toxic. We're not hateful. We're not artificial. And the next word we are not is we are not that woman. We are not thoughtless. We are not thoughtless. Selfishness, like I said before, selfishness is a form of being toxic. Remember, toxic was the first adjective we had today. That's the woman that we do not want to be. We're not that woman. We are not toxic. But a Proverbs 31 woman is always thinking about other women. A Proverbs 31 woman is always thinking about ways that she can be a blessing, that she can help others, that she can bless others, even if it's something small. Even a Titus 2 woman, when it tells us to teach the younger women how to do, X, Y, and Z, that's another thing that you have to think about, right? You got to think about what's good for them to learn. You got to think about ways that you can position yourself so that you can be an elder or a teacher and a leader and all those type of things. So how are you positioning yourself to be a blessing? Are you thinking about other people? That's part of our call as a Proverbs 31 woman. The Bible says that we stretch our hands out to the needy. And I want to say this too. I understand that we're in a recession. I understand that groceries is sky high. I understand that eggs are $1 million a dozen. Okay, I get all of that. All right, I understand. So I get that, money may not be in everyone's pockets at the moment. But I want to say that when I say being thoughtful, and when I say, thinking of ways to bless others, it does not have to be expensive. It could be something as small as, keeping, giving up your weekly coffee, or giving up some treats that you like, and maybe keeping those singles in your wallet in case you run across that homeless person. It could be something as small as cleaning out your closet twice a year. If you're like me and you like clothes, right, and they pile up fast in your closet, and you're just like, I'm looking at clothes with tags on it. Get rid of them. How many homeless people do you pass often? Give them to Goodwill. You got to know a single woman. You got to know a friend that's your size. You got to know a friend who got kids, and you're throwing your kids got an abundance of toys that they're not even playing with. You've got to know a mother that's struggling that you can bless with your kids' old toys. So what I'm saying is, let's just ask God to show us ways that we can manage what we have better, share, and things don't go to waste, and still be a blessing, because there's always people in our lives that need help, whether we realize it, whether those people speak up, or whether those people never say anything, or whether they just need a little bit of help. There's some way that we can position ourselves to help them. And I'm not bragging, but just one way that I personally do it is, you guys know that I love to coupon. And I'm kind of picky with certain products that I use, but sometimes if it's on sale, or if it's super cheap, or if I'm going to get something for free, I'll pick it up anyway, and I'll just keep it in my house. And then when I get that text message that someone lost their job, or, someone's having a hard time and someone can't afford whatever, I've got that extra bottle of laundry detergent that's been sitting in my pantry for, months or whatever, because I don't use that brand, but I bought it because I got it for free. I'm able to build things to help that person out. So that's what I mean. Just looking for ways that you can be a blessing. It could be something as small as, baking some cookies for your pastor, baking some cookies for someone who's went through a loss, surprising someone with a DoorDash of Starbucks, because that they need a smile. Just little things. Ask God to show you ways that you can be a blessing to people, and be thoughtful, because our thoughts, our actions, and remember I tell you every day, every interaction we have with people as a virtuous woman, that's a form of ministry. So yes, we just got to ask, Lord, show me ways I can bless your people. Show me ways I can bless your people. So I told you I wasn't going to be on here long, and I'm just about done. So let me say this. I gave you guys all the negative things that we're not going to be, right? We're not going to be, I'm going to point over here and say, we're not going to be that woman, the negative woman. We're not going to be the toxic woman. We're not going to be the hateful woman. We're not going to be artificial. We're not going to be thoughtless. But we are going to be that woman. And I've got opposite, positive, still the same letters of positive words that we're going to be. So instead of being toxic, we're going to be therapeutic. People who come in our presence are going to feel something great. They're going to feel therapy. They're going to feel that healing. They're going to feel the presence of God, because we're healed women, and we're women that carry healing. We're women that carry joy. We're women that carry all those positive traits. So instead of being toxic, we're going to be therapeutic. Oop, guys, that Vaseline on my hand almost made me drop my laptop. Instead of being hateful, okay, we're going to be humble and happy. Instead of being hateful, we're going to be humble and happy. We are going to be genuinely happy for others, happy for what they have. We're not going to find fault into somebody else's blessings so that we can bring them down and discourage them. We're going to be humble, and even if we feel like we're waiting on God to answer our prayers and He's answering everybody else's, we're going to stay humble. We're going to stay encouraged, and we're going to wait on God, and we're going to enjoy other people's blessings as our friends share them with us. So instead of being hateful, we're going to be humble and happy. Instead of being artificial, which is that woman, instead of being artificial, we're going to be authentic. Okay, we're going to be authentic. We're a genuine woman. Everything we do will come from a sincere place, will come from a beautiful place, will come from a true place, will come from an honest place of our hearts, because we remember that God sees our hearts before He sees our actions. So we're more concerned about the genuineness than we are about how man looks at our actions. Instead of being that woman and being thoughtless, we're going to be that woman and we're going to be thoughtful. We're going to constantly seek ways to bless people, constantly seek ways to be a blessing, constantly think about other people and how to advance God's kingdom through our actions, our words, our gifts, and our everyday conversations. All that, everything that we do will bring glory to God. Okay, so those are our traits. Okay, so let's take our T. Okay, because I told y'all I wasn't going to be here long. Okay, I told you I wasn't. So here's our T. Remember, my mug says be the change, because today it's all about the change. Those negative attributes, those negative things I talked about, we're going to change and we're going to be positive. I used this mug before. This is one of my heaviest mugs, guys. This mug is super heavy. I've used one of these mugs. I've used this mug before on T.H.A.T. The mug I had before today that's got that nasty coffee that I talked about earlier today, it's in my kitchen. I'm going to remake that coffee. So if somebody can tell me what I did wrong, let me know, because I'm going to do a trial too when I get off of T.H.A.T. And my numbers keep going up and down. So those of you who just joined, this is pineapple peach tea. Okay, that is too sweet because I made it too sweet on accident. That's okay. So we had our T, let's have our T. Our T, which is our takeaway, is characteristics that we should not be, are toxic, hateful, artificial, and thoughtless. We ask God for these attributes to be uprooted. Okay, they need to be uprooted and replanted with seeds of being therapeutic, happy, authentic, and thoughtful. Those are the seeds that should take their place. So we need God to uproot the bad seeds and replace and plant those good seeds that I just said. Our equipment for today is our Psalms 51:10, and Psalms 51:10 says, "Create in me a clean heart, O God, and renew a right spirit within me." All of those things that I mentioned today, like I said, are all heart issues. So we need to constantly say, God, create in me a clean heart, renew a right spirit within me, so that I do not have those traits of that woman that we discussed earlier. Okay, and lastly, our A for our T, which is our assignment, is to daily ask God for a clean slate, a heart, and a right spirit. Ask Him to help us to recognize the characteristics that are not of Him, so that we can make a conscious effort to be better, virtuous women according to His word. Okay, remember what I just said? I said, let's ask Him to help us to recognize so that we can make a conscious effort, because sometimes we can be certain ways for so long we don't even know we have those attributes. So Lord, help us to make a conscious effort, help us to recognize them so we know what to pray against, and we can make a conscious effort to be better. Okay, I love you, ladies. Don't be that woman, but be that woman. Be therapeutic, be Ooh, happy and humble, be authentic, and be thoughtful. Okay, I'll see you guys next week for Topics and Tea. Actually, I'll see some of you tomorrow for Pearls of Wisdom on a Wednesday for a Wonderful Woman, and that is on TikTok. And then I'll see the rest of you guys next week for Topics and Tea on Tuesday. So I love you all. Happy Valentine's Day, ladies. Have a blessed week.